We start tonight at 5 with a live look outside. On the left, Loveland ski area. Some snow on the ground there. On the right, a view over Golden from Lookout Mountain. It's been another hot week. And as we finally kick off a new month, the month of March, we're finally starting to see some moisture on the horizon. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles.
And I'm Mark Salinger. It's surely a relief for firefighters across the state as we wrap up the second February ever on record to not see measurable snow in the metro area. Those firefighters have been busy. Want to get right over to Corey Reppenhagen now with the weather. Corey, it does not feel like now March out there.
I know, and we carry the lowest snow total season long into March we ever have in the city, and it looks like it's a good chance we could end up with the lowest overall by the end of this season, because we do have some rain in the forecast, but not a lot of snow. Here's a live look at the Viera camera out there by Holyoke. Some pretty cool clouds in the sky as the sun starts to head for the horizon. Behind a bunch of clouds, you can see across the city here. We're in the cloudy conditions right now. Those will clear out a little bit overnight, and we'll get some sunshine tomorrow. We're still in the 60s here in downtown, 59 at Denver International Airport, and tomorrow we'll be chasing another heat record. We've been saying this all winter, and this will be our first record potential for the spring season. 74 degrees is the record high temperature for Monday, March the 2nd, and our forecast is 72. So we'll be right in the neighborhood of some more records here. Tomorrow morning is going to be very mild, starting out at 38. That's going to give us a good chance to get up there into the 70s, and that's likely where we're headed here across the eastern half of the state. Lots of 70s on the board. 77 in Trinidad, 72 in Denver. And here's the next 3 days. There is one cool day. So Tuesday is going to be the one to watch here, where we still have some pretty good rain chances. A good half of us could get a little bit of rain here on Tuesday, and maybe even some snow mixing in there every once in a while. So that's what I'll be talking about in the forecast, which is in just a few minutes, guys.
Corey, thank you. Winter just hasn't arrived on the Front Range this year. If you need another good example of that, look no further than Evergreen.
Evergreen usually hosts their annual lake plunge on New Year's Day every year. That was back in January, but this year there was no ice to jump into, so they delayed it until today, where there's still no ice. Here's 9 News reporter Janelle Finch.
Jumping into a hole in a frozen lake obviously couldn't happen this year because the lake never fully froze. Instead, participants belly flopped and cannonballed into 43-degree water. A little delayed and a little different, Evergreen hosted its annual lake plunge. Though the event kicked off the month of March instead of January, conditions were just as chilly.
I got cold shock, so it's like, ooh, I want to get out real quick.
Participants usually jump through a hole in the frozen lake.
So they'll walk out onto the ice, and the fire department cuts us a nice big hole for them to jump into. And this year there is no ice, so we're just jumping straight into the water.
Lindsay Frost wishes she could live up to her name and bring the cold weather.
My husband jumped wearing his no skiing today shirt. It has a little sad face.
And she's the secretary for Evergreen Parks and Rec's nonprofit partner, Active for All. Frost says postponing the plunge impacted attendance.
It's kind of a bummer for how the winter has been as far as conditions go, and I think we do get a little bit better turnout, more interest when it is on New Year's Day.
Still, dozens of patriots, pickles, and princesses chose to freeze to fundraise. Money from registration goes to Active for All's Inspire program. Inspire provides kids with disabilities opportunities for adaptive activities and social engagement.
It is so beneficial for parents of kids with disabilities.
Frost is one of those parents.
It means a lot as a parent that they can get Cameron and his friends out there doing these different things, because that's not always feasible for the parents to do day after day after day of all these great activities.
She says less participation means less donations for Inspire.
On a normal year when we're checking people in, the line is all the way out to the parking lot.
The weird weather puts more emphasis on the nonprofit's other events that support the program.
So that he can interact with his friends and the public and just get to do things that he wouldn't always get to do.
The nonprofit's been hosting the event since the mid-2000s, and they have never had a year like this. In Evergreen, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Adams County Fire has shared video today of a brush fire, one that started just off of I-76 last night around 9:30 in the evening at York and I-76 on a bike path. Firefighters say they got this one quickly under control. Nobody got hurt. It burned about 3 acres. No word yet on what caused that fire.
Colorado's new Firehawk helicopter was up and running this weekend as a fire in Boulder forced evacuation warnings. The $25 million firefighting helicopter had sat on the ground for the past week or so as other fires started up and down the Front Range. The Firehawk helped crews on the ground get 100% containment on that fire in Boulder by around 6:30 p.m. yesterday. That's Saturday. Fire was near Chautauqua Park. The only evacuations were for the hundreds of people on trails nearby. Over 100 firefighters worked that fire. Strong winds had grounded the Firehawk earlier in the week as older helicopters were dispatched instead to fires in places like Castle Rock and Golden Gate Canyon. The conditions in Boulder on Saturday were favorable for the Firehawk to get up into the air and help get that fire under control quickly. Moving down to international news, 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action in Operation Epic Fury. The news comes as strikes from the U.S. and Israel continue against Iran. That news came from U.S. Central Command on social media. CENTCOM also reports that 5 more service members, U.S. citizens, were seriously wounded. It's not clear how the troops were killed, but Iran has been retaliating by striking U.S. military bases across the region since yesterday. The announcement comes after joint U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran killed the supreme leader there. Trump posted a video on Truth Social today addressing the U.S. casualties and warning that there likely will be more.
Even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives, we pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is.
According to Iranian state media, hundreds of civilians were also killed, including at least 165 students whose school was hit by one of the U.S.-Israel strikes. At least 9 in Israel died after retaliatory attacks there.
Another impact of these strikes on Iran: oil prices. OPEC says it will increase oil production to get ahead of any disruption to the market. Crude oil prices are expected to jump due to the conflict. More than 20% of global oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz, which is located between Oman and the UAE on one side and Iran on the other. Trade sources say most tanker owners are suspending oil shipments through the strait because of the ongoing conflict.
Back here in the U.S., 3 people, including the shooter, are dead and 14 others are injured after a gunman opened fire outside a bar in Austin, Texas. NBC News is reporting at the time of the shooting, the man wore a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah" and a shirt underneath with the Iranian flag theme, sources told NBC News. The gunman was identified as a 53-year-old man from Senegal, according to sources familiar with the investigation. It started just before 2 a.m. as officers were called to reports of a man with a gun in the city's entertainment district. Witnesses say the gunman fired out of the window of an SUV onto the patio of Buffords, and then he got out of the truck and was shot by police. Police say the pre-deployment of officers in the area for the weekend saved lives.
The amount of resources we use on East 6th Street, a large crowd, a large entertainment area here in Austin, where officers along with EMS and fire are staged for the weekend. And so you're talking, when this came out, we were about 56 seconds away coming from east to west Austin, and that saved multiple lives.
The FBI continues to investigate this shooting as a possible act of terrorism. The SUV was searched and not carrying explosives, but special agents with the FBI say indications in the SUV and on the suspect link him to possible terrorism.
Tonight, we're learning that a University of Colorado football player has died.
Coach Deion Sanders posted about it today. Sports anchor Chris Tavares joins us now with everything that we know. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Mark. Information is really limited right now, but less than an hour ago, Buffs head coach Deion Sanders confirming that Dominique Ponder passed away. And in that post, he said that Dom was one of his favorites and that he was loved, respected, and a born leader. Ponder was a sophomore. He was going to be a redshirt junior next season. He only played in 2 games last year. He was a Florida native who started his career at Bethune-Cookman. The Buffs are scheduled to open spring practice tomorrow. Now, whether this will alter the team's schedule, that remains to be seen. We have reached out to the school for more information, but haven't heard anything back yet. Jenny, Mark?
Oh, it's just devastating. All right, Chris, thanks. We'll continue to follow that story.